Well, more now on those reports today that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is seeking approval from his security cabinet to move for a full occupation of Gaza. Well, joining me now is former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert for his reaction to this. Good afternoon to you. Were you surprised by this, and why do you think he's chosen to make this decision right now?
Well, I'm not certain that he took this decision already. We have to wait for the cabinet meeting and see if indeed he wants to do it. But I will not be surprised if he will, because I think that this is what the real Prime Minister of Israel wants. And the real Prime Minister of Israel is Itamar Ben-Gvir and Minister Smotrich. And they kept saying all the time, including in this week in several public statements, that Israel has to conquer and occupy all of the West Bank and force voluntarily, if possible, the people living there to move out so that Israel will be able to resettle the West Bank. And today, Ben-Gvir tweeted that if the chief of staff of the army will have to abide by the instructions given to him by the cabinet. So I think that this is the strategy of the partners of the prime minister, is that we have to deport the people of Gaza. We have to occupy the Gaza completely. And this is one step towards, of course, doing the same in the West Bank. This is a strategy, and up until now, unfortunately, Prime Minister always surrendered to the pressures of his partners, not to the voice of reason and responsibility that you would expect him to listen to.
He says that, this is the only way to achieve the stated aims of the war in Gaza, one of them primarily, of course, being to bring the hostages back. Do you think he's not risking the lives of the hostages by a full occupation?
Certainly does. Now his spokesman, the people the thugs that represent him in a different position in the cabinet, saying already explicitly and publicly, yes, it will endanger the hostages, but this is a risk worth taking, which is outrageous and completely against the major opinions voiced in Israel, in the majority. What I hear, I don't know. I didn't hear it myself, but it's been around everywhere in the media, that the chief of staff also does not share the opinion that the military operation at this time is worth the cost of the hostages' lives and also of a lot of Israelis that will be affected for nothing that can bring about the outcome which is anticipated or expected. So I don't know, and I also heard that the chief of staff, this was in some of the papers, the chief of staff said that he knows that he also holds the option of saying no and resign from office in the event that such a decision will be made. So I think, yes, it brings Israel to the edge, to the very, very extreme edge of doing something which is completely unacceptable by the basic understanding of the situation on the premises. It's not going to bring in a total the elimination of everyone that holds a gun, and if this is the criterion by which you judge the total victory, then it can last forever. One thing. Another thing is risking the lives of the hostages. We saw the pictures. Unfortunately, it wasn't given enough exposure in the international media, but the situation of some of the hostages is absolutely terrible. They are dying. They are dying out of hunger, out of torture there.
Yeah.
And so this is a very serious risk.
Sky News ran those images of the emaciated bodies of the hostages, which are reflected as well in the emaciated bodies of Gazans as well. I know that you know, you're talking as well previously about the violence going far enough, and Israel is now going too far because it's consumed with responding to events of October 7th.
Yeah, I mean, this is what President Biden at the beginning advised Israel: don't be consumed with your anger. I mean, control yourself, control your reactions, be careful, don't put things, carry them too far. I mean, that can sometimes bounce back against you. And I think that we have reached that point. We are fighting 22 months, while at the beginning, in the first few months, the war was perceived to be completely legitimate by the international community, in spite of the collateral damage, which was not marginal. It was very significant, but there was an understanding that we had to do it. I think now, when there is not a chance to achieve anything of substance, when there is a danger to the lives of the hostages, of Israeli soldiers, and of Palestinians, and we care about the lives of innocent Palestinians. We don't want to kill them. We don't fight them. We don't want to destroy the Palestinian people. We want to destroy Hamas, and we destroyed Hamas. After 22 months, it's enough. Now we have to bring back the hostages and establish a process acceptable by the Palestinian Authority.
Do you think
countries to end the war and to bring in security force of Arabs that will take over from Israel, and Israel will be able to pull out completely?
It's interesting what you just said. Do you think that Prime Minister Netanyahu and his cabinet care about the lives of Palestinian people?
I'm not so certain about that, to put it mildly, unfortunately.
Yeah. And where does this end then? Who stops Prime Minister Netanyahu? It sounds to me like you say he's lost control to the far-right members of his cabinet.
Yeah.
You say Israelis are consumed, including the population, of continuing this war. Who stops this? Is it President Trump?
Well, definitely President Trump could be the person. He is perhaps the only person that can force Netanyahu, that can order Netanyahu, and tell him simply, enough is enough, stop it. And Netanyahu has no one else in the whole world except for Trump. So if Trump will tell him to stop it, he will have to stop it. But I also,
and what about sanctions and boycotts? I was speaking to Gideon Levy earlier, and he said that, you know, there's a lot of platitudes about Palestinian state and diplomacy, but actually that's a misnomer. It's boycotts and punishment, punitive action that will work.
I'm not where Gideon Levy is, and I'm not advising anyone to boycott the state of Israel. And it's something that I'll never do. I think that if I could advise, and I happen to eventually and sometimes occasionally talk with some of the leaders of Europe, I say all the time, don't punish the state of Israel and don't punish the people of Israel. If you want to punish the government of Israel, that's all right. But I want to add something, with your permission. I think that the time has come for the Israelis to show their opposition in not unclear terms, which means to go to the streets. I join in completely with what the former Prime Minister Barak said, the civil disobedience. We are coming to a point where, when a couple of million people will be in the streets, considering all the other complexities and difficulties and crises that the government is facing anyway, and the fact that the government is not having a majority in parliament as a result of the departure of some of the religious parties, I think that this can make a difference. And I think that this is the time that we Israelis will take the responsibility for taking measures which are unusual, exceptional, but inevitable, considering the way that the government is behaving, and I hope that it will take place. And perhaps
sir, if the time has come for Israelis to take a stand, and it's interesting to say that because it's very hard to gauge what Israelis really want out of this because of varying polls. You're calling for them to take to the streets in greater numbers rather than the minority we're seeing.
No, look, the fact is that in all the opinion polls which were run across a long time now, it is obvious that 70% of the people last Friday said that they want the war to stop immediately, that they don't trust the Prime Minister's decisions about the hostages and about the expanding of the war. So there is a majority in the public opinion which thinks this way. Now it is time for this majority to show up in the most convincing manner in the street, as we did already a couple of times in the past, in order to change the tide in favor of early elections that will bring down this government and bring in more normalcy and more responsibility and more compassion to the Israeli government that is so needed at this time.
Ehud Olmert, former Prime Minister of Israel, thanks very much indeed for joining us here on Sky News. Thank you.
Thank you.